on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels slow motion, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me.
I hope you are ready for a series unlike any other that has ever been broadcasted here on SRM and ESBN. It is a first of its kind for the network. It is our super late model AI series coming to you live from the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Alongside me, my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso. Tony, we've been wanting diversity on this channel. We've been wanting to do something different. We've been wanting to go to new places in new vehicles to kind of explore what else iRacing has to offer except for the A, B, and C class stock cars. It's still a stock car. It's the super late models, and we get to broadcast them each of the next 16 weeks. I cannot wait.
Well, I can't think of a better place to start a gamble like this, Frank, than Vegas. Spin that wheel, cut that pack, throw them loaded dice. Bring on the dancing girls, baby, and let's put the champagne on ice. Welcome to the Bullring at Vegas.
Yep, and we're going to be seeing so many different racetracks that we've never broadcasted at here on ESBN and Sim Racing Media. This is definitely one of them. The Bullring at Las Vegas is one of those tracks that's hardly ever used in iRacing anymore. And as you can see on screen where this track is located, it's located just outside of turns 1 and 2 of the big 1.5-mile oval Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So a lot of the same characteristics you see from that track, you're going to see here as well, even though it's just a 3/8 of a mile bullring.
It is. It's a 3/8 mile bull ring, but it races. It's incredibly racy for being only 3/8 of a mile. And the biggest thing to be mindful of is you can see it in the corners. There's essentially the same rumble strips that you would see on the highway to designate, hey, you're going over into the shoulder of the lane. But they really unsettle these cars with slick tires.
Yep, I absolutely do. And a little bit more of a note for this series and what you're going to be seeing over the next 16 weeks. These are full-on iRacing AI. There is absolutely no human interaction in this session except for me to actually host the session. There is no human racing. This is all the iRacing AI. You're going to see a lot of close racing. You're going to see a lot of exciting racing. And we're also going to be going to a lot of tracks that, again, we do not see all that often in broadcasting. However, there were some racetracks that we wanted to go to, like Stafford or Irwindale, that are not going to be on this schedule because they are not compatible with the iRacing AI. We're only going to one track that is longer than a half a mile, and that would be the Charlotte Motor Speedway for our big event later on this season. This is going to be, again, Tony, I cannot stress this enough, this is going to be a series unlike anything else that we've done here on ESBN ever as we get into qualifying.
Absolutely, and it's very exciting to see how this one does play out, because when you set the session up, I know that you and I were talking about, well, how do we get these things to be as racy as possible? Well, point number one, turn the skill level up as far as it'll go, 110%. Turn the aggression level up as high as it'll go, 110%. So you've got aggressive racing, you've got skilled racing, and we've already seen some things just in the hot lap session that you and I are both talking to each other going, did that seriously just happen and they made it stick?
Yeah, absolutely. It is going to be fun. You're also going to see these are real drivers that we're going to be seeing here. We've matched them up with their name and car and tried to match them up with their teams as best we could, but you're not going to be seeing any bogus AI names. You are going to be seeing real names, real people taking part in this season series, as Tony, I think, is about to mention, except for one.
Except for the lone Canadian in the field.
There's two Canadians.
Well, one of the two Canadians in the field is our good friend Wayne Shore out of Letterkenny, Ontario.
Wayne Stokes, I believe you meant there.
Stokes, I'm sorry. Wayne Stokes out of Letterkenny, Ontario. Driving for Shamrock Racing. And if you get the joke, go ahead and let us know in the live chat if you get the reference there.
There is a little bit of an Easter egg as far as that's concerned. And one thing that is kind of unfortunate, though, is that qualifying is over. Just like that, we saw maybe 2 or 3 cars actually get a lap in. It is a 5-minute qualifying session, 2 laps. Everyone gets to run their 2 laps. And then after that, naturally, just like any other qualifying session, we will then go on to the race. So again, real names, real teams, real cars. Go ahead.
Less than a tenth separating the first 23 drivers.
And that's exactly what we were talking about, what you were mentioning, Tony, is that all of these driver skill sets are up at the max. The AI setting, you can set them between 0 skill and 125 skill. The top and bottom skill level is 125. The aggression is cranked all the way up to the max. The consistency, however, to try to get some action at least, is dialed all the way down to 0. So there's going to be a lot of great close racing here. And because the AI are both set to have a ceiling and a floor of 125% ability, that means anyone can win any of these races. We see Ty Majeski. We know where he is. We know he's a big name in the truck series and also runs some Xfinity races. There's no guarantee that he's going to waltz away with every single one of these races like a lot of away from these super late model guys. And you'll see some guys from the Spears super late model series. It's kind of a collection of people from everywhere all throughout racing that are here for this race.
We've got Derek Kraus in the house tonight,
Yep.
considering that, he's won 3 K&N titles. That's a name that you really want to make your mark against. There's a lot of names in here that, we've got Snowball Derby winners in here. We've got K&N East and West Series champions in here. We've got overall national champions in here. You've got cars late model champions. You've got there's so many champions in this field that this is like an all-star race without it being an actual all-star race.
Yep, absolutely. And we talk about wanting to show a lot of the fun stuff that the iRacing AI allows us to do. And this is certainly one of those things that the iRacing AI and the fun that the iRacing AI allows us to have. As we'll just take one quick moment here. I think this is going to be one of the drops in immersion. I think is that I'm going to have to click out of this, and I'm going to have to advance the session here before too long. Otherwise, we're gonna have to run into some issues there. So there we go. Session is advanced. As we get set to go into what would be this very first race for this series. We'll take a look at the starting grid here for tonight's season opener at the Bullring. Trevor Huddleston will sit on pole with a time of 14.175. Wayne Stokes will sit on the outside of row 1. Jake Drew and Dominic Lopez will make up row number 2, with Cole Moore and Sean Woodside sitting in row 3. Walt Clow and Mark Wirtz will make up row 4. Tanner Reef and Corey Heim will sit in row number 5. Tony Breedinger and Eddie McDonald to make up row 6, with row 7 going to Derek Griffith and Derek Kraus.
Austin Herzog and Austin Maynard in all Austin, row number 8. Blaine Roca and Parker Travis making up row number 9. Row 10 goes to Ty Majeski and John Moore. Josh Berry and Colby Howard making up row 11, with row 12 going to Andy Allen and Carson Quapple. Sammy Smith and Gio Selzy, interesting story about him, starting in row number 13, and row 14 going to Jeremy Doss, and starting shotgun on the field as Frank, you're up here in the booth.
Yep, we'll always be in that final 28th position since I'm the one hosting this this AI session here. I will always be on that list. So the Bullring here at Las Vegas, we have 3/8 of a mile, 175 laps to get through here in what would be a twilight race. This is going to be quite a dynamic. We see how twilight races that start in the late afternoon and end up finishing under the lights, how they affect the A, B, and C class stock cars. Super late models, it is going to affect them a little bit differently. And also on a 3/8 of a mile short track, anyone who's been to their local short track knows that short track racing at night creates some hectic fireworks.
Yes, it does. And the other thing to keep in mind, too, these Hoosiers are not radial tires like we see in the A, B, and C stock car classes. These are a bias ply tire, which means the tire reacts completely differently. And it's more of an aggressive change. When the track temperature starts to drop, the grip level in these cars goes through the roof.
And we will definitely be seeing that here as we, unfortunately, this is one part that we cannot skip. Instead of a standard 5-minute grid time for someone who misses the grid, It is a 5-minute grid time here, so we have 3 extra minutes to play with and to be able to talk you through what you're going to be seeing tonight. Weather conditions here tonight, again, starting this race a couple minutes after 7 o'clock. Everything that is set by me. Everything else is randomly generated. 69-degree track temperature, 66-degree ambient temperature here tonight on the 21st of May. It's a rather cool night, especially here for Las Vegas. Quite a nice night for racing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 66-degree ambient air temperature, that's winter parka time in Vegas. Especially considering that. Think about it this way, folks. Those of you that live in normal climates, if it's 70 degrees during the day and it drops down 30 degrees, you're putting on a heavy coat. Well, normally it's 120 degrees here in Vegas. So we're talking about a 45, almost 50-degree difference. That's cold. And the good news is the track's going to have a ton of grip, and it's only going to go up as the night wears on. The bad news is cold tires are going to be a thing for about the first 5 laps, and it's going to be fun to see how these cars and AI drivers handle the slick conditions, trying to get those tires up to temperature. Because there are no tire warmers, there are no blankets that they put over these tires to get artificial heat in them, like you would see in an Indy car or a Formula One car. So the pace laps are going to be all important, trying to get some heat into those Hoosiers.
Yep, absolutely. And just to get you excited for the first month of this season, again, we've been talking about wanting to bring you different content. Well, here's some content for you. Of course, the season opener here at the Bullring is these guys are about to get ready to roll off here to begin the first of 2 parade laps that we're going to have pre-race. USA International, a track that does get a lot of running on iRacing, especially in the lower series. It's the lower licenses, I should say, will be the next race on the calendar. After that, we go to Lanier, another lower license track that we know very well but haven't broadcasted from much. And then for round number 4 of the season, we head to Myrtle Beach, a track that unfortunately doesn't exist anymore, and a track that does not get a lot of play on iRacing, and a track I don't think we've ever done a broadcast from. So there is going to be a lot of short tracks and a lot of diversity here as we get set to go here tonight, Tony.
We did 1 truck race from there. It was just before you left.
Oh, there we go. So
but
Tony,
here we go.
Yep, bring us in.
As lights are out on the pace car peels on off. Here we go. It's time to wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point harness, and Grandma, make some popcorn because it's time to get it onto the Bullring. Race fans, it's show time.
Trevor Huddleston getting out to a big lead. Wayne Stokes getting stuck on that outside line, and we're going to be seeing that here tonight all night long. That outside line you're going to want to get out of as quickly as you possibly can. Otherwise, you're going to fall right to the back.
Absolutely. As Stokes is continuing his backslide right now, has already dropped quite a few spots back into 5th. Finally gets the clear, and just as he gets cleared, here comes the 9 to his door.
It's a 9 of 10 Reef to the inside. Tony Breedinger jumps to the inside of Dominic Lopez in that Hair Club number 25 for Venturini as the 24 takes a big wide arc going through turn 1, getting well up and out of the way.
Was almost in a 3-wide situation and thought, yeah, that's not such a good idea, as they're side by side up in front. Looks like Bredinger getting freight train now on the high side.
There she is up in the 25 on that outside line. An ARCA Series regular as well as a truck participant every now and again for Venturini Motorsports, Tony Breedinger. 22-year-old out of Hillsborough, California. Has Josh Berry not that far behind. Dominic Lopez has not necessarily slowed his free fall yet, getting passed by the 19 of Derek Kraus.
Kraus, one of those ones that has won multiple K&N Series championships, formerly the Busch North, Busch East Series, now K&N East and West. Stratford, Wisconsin native knows how to get it done on the short tracks, has actually won here in the real world in these cars.
Absolutely, is still starting to single file out here a little bit towards the front, but towards the back, we're still hectic, as that's Colby Howard in the 81. Thought about going between Selzy and Dominic Lopez, decided better of it. Now holding on to that inside position, Carson Quapple, another former series champion for 2019, I believe. This is back in 22nd position.
I mean, this field is just so stacked that it's scary. If you were an actual participant in a race like this, you would be questioning your own sanity at this point.
And this is what the iRacing AI provides, is this close racing here. And we're watching racing in 22nd position. You think it's up near the top 5. Now, one guy has broken away, and in the amount of test racing that we have done here, the amount of test races that we have seen, the standard kind of go about here for this series is going to be that at the beginning of the race, one guy is going to break away quite a bit towards the front, but it'll all come back once he catches up to the back of the field, and we'll start to get close racing again. So right now, Jake Drew is the beneficiary of clear racetrack in front of him. Cole Moore not quite able to keep up. Walt Clow right there as well. So these guys starting to spread out a little bit, but once we start hitting lap traffic, it's all going to accordion back together.
It's going to accordion back together, and we're going to see some good side-by-side racing yet again. So we're probably only a handful of laps from that, as the pace that these front runners are setting is a solid pace. This is, if you would liken this to an actual official iRacing race, this would be top split of any iRacing official series. And just the skill level that you're seeing here tonight, I mean, we're talking north of 4,000 I rating out of these AI drivers.
Easily. As Parker Traves has brought it down pit road. A Canadian Legends driver in that number 60. Now here he comes back out. Completed 2 laps before bringing it down pit road. He's been there ever since, and now about to rejoin the race here. So here he comes back out on track, and you can see how interesting pit road entry and exit can be. Being on some of these short tracks, they have to get pretty creative with where they put their pit road entry and exit. And you're seeing that right there as the 19 of Derek Kraus. It now comes under fire from Kyle Busch Motorsports driver Sammy Smith, and also Venturini Motorsports driver Corey Heim.
Heim throws it to the inside and gets a good run off of 2. That's going to shuffle Kraus back another spot. Here comes the 75 to his inside as well, trying to make some headway.
Jeremy Dawson, the 75. Doss, one of the big movers, started, I believe, if I remember correctly, started right back at the bottom of the field. He is up 12 positions. Same thing with the 51 of Sammy Smith. He is up 12 positions as well in that KBM number 51 machine. Just outside the top 10, these guys are running right now, 13th and 15th for the 2 biggest movers of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've always loved the way that the TMC designs work on race cars. That whole gold machine-turned gold leaf. It's a classic look that has been on those cars since they first started sponsoring Sammy Swindell in the World of Outlaws back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Sean Woodside in the 45, getting a position on Derek Griffith in the 12. Trevor Huddleston right there as well. The pole sitter. here tonight. Starting to fall back. He's almost at the back end of the top 10. Blaine Roca currently in that 10th position right now. And again, we're seeing a little bit more of a breakaway. Jake Drew is up to 3/4 of a second ahead of Cole Moore for that race lead, but he has to know, well, the AI would have to know, that it is not going to last, that big gap. Once they get to the back of this field, it's going to close right back up again.
Yes, it absolutely is. Take a quick mention of driver in 17th place right now, Gio Scelzi. Interesting little tidbit about Scelzi. His father is one of only 3 drivers in the NHRA history to have won a world championship in both Top Fuel Funny Car and Top Fuel Dragster. So Gio, second generation driver, and has the skill set that his old man has possessed so many years in going in a straight line. Gio possesses it in going fast and turning left.
Absolutely. And another thing you're probably noticing with this with the AI racing here is that cautions are going to be at a premium here in this series. We're not going to get too many, as Tanner Reef still trying to hold off Wayne Stokes there.
Well, he has caught the back of the field, so it's about to get interesting.
Well, that's Jake Drew is the leader. Similar cars, identical cars, both of them for Sunrise Ford.
My bad. I saw the orange and blue and got excited. Go Syracuse.
There you go.
and for your liking, go Mets.
there it is.
And to add a little salt to the wound, go Syracuse Mets. Go figure, right?
Well, you know how these things work.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Tanner Reef, Wayne Stokes, Austin Herzog battling for the 5th position as it sits. And you can start to see, this racetrack starting to transition towards dark, and you can also see if the angle gets just right, you can start to see those rear brake rotors on the 92 of Stokes, also on the 9, starting to really light up here.
Absolutely. They have to dial a lot of rear brake into these cars to get them to initiate the turn. The more rear brake bias you dial in, it's almost like, for those of you who have ever watched Tokyo Drift, the movie that, and you can really see the brake rotors glowing there. That's the fronts, as they are just lit right now. But the more rear brake bias you can dial in, the better the car will initiate the start of the turn. And that's probably one of the greatest camera angles we have seen in a long time. The coil-over front suspension on these super late models, just the geometry of that, it's an engineering marvel to figure how they get these cars to do what they do at the speeds that they get them to do it at.
Ratchet the noise back up as Corey Heim starts to fall backwards. This is around the 17th, 18th position. Eddie McDonald now on the inside, looking for position. That's McDonald up to 18th. Corey Heim starting that free fall again, stuck on the outside. And again, with all of these guys being at the same skill level, anyone can win at any given racetrack. Just because Corey Heim is not having a good race here today, Ty Majeski, same thing. Carson Quapple as well. Just because they're not doing well here doesn't mean they're not going to run these guys ragged in other places. We're three wide.
And that's Kraus on the inside. He's not scared to take it 3 wide ever. But, the fact that, and that's something you and I were talking about during the Hololab session, the fact that, these AI drivers are able to go 3 wide, make it stick, and nobody ends up in the catch fence, that's what we would love to see in the real, or the real life drivers in the iRacing servers.
believe what I said. I think it was we would have seen that with the real drivers, but it wouldn't have worked.
Right.
As that is Andy Allen in the number 22A. RJ Allen Inc. on the side of that car. Carson Kvapil now starting to make his way forward. This is back in the 20s, by the way. We're seeing this close, exciting racing. Gio Scelzi now in a battle of his own with Sammy Smith in the 51 in front of him. Colby Howard, another Truck Series regular that we're seeing pop up in the number 81 right behind him. This is a battle for the 13th spot between these three. And just in front of them is Parker Traves in the number 60, who is 17 laps down at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened with him, to make him go into the pits so early. I didn't see anybody hit the wall or anything malice happen. It was just one of those deals where probably didn't like what was going on with the set of tires, and the team had to make some adjustments.
And Tony, it has happened now. Jake Drew has caught lap traffic. He has just put a lap on Corey Heim. He has now done the same to Travis Kvapil, and Ty Majeski is the next one on his list. And as these guys start getting racier around the leaders, we are anticipating the pack to close in. And I know that sounds odd to say, but when we're dealing with AI, we did so many test races to make sure that this was going to work the way that we expected it to work, or the way we were hoping it would work. You start to realize patterns, and that was one of the patterns that we noticed, that guys would get way out in front, and then once they hit lap traffic, they would all close back up again.
Yeah, and it's good to see that, but it can be frustrating if you're an actual driver in this race. But the good news is it's AI; they can handle that. But as we're on board with Tanner Reef right now, the Las Vegas native, looking to have a good finish here at his home track. As he's working the backside of the 46 right now, and no quarter asked for, no quarter given, and this is actually fun to watch, Frank.
Yeah, this has been absolutely incredible racing all throughout the field, and we were definitely excited and definitely anticipating this would be the case. And as we had mentioned, the field now starting to bunch back up together as Jake Drew has gotten passed by both Corey Heim and Travis Kvapil, and you can see Cole Moore has brought that lead back down. We're back under a second for the first time in the better part of 50 laps.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what we're going to see all season long. We're going to see somebody get out to a decent lead, and as soon as they catch the tail end, like you mentioned, the chase pack is going to, or the peloton is going to reel them right back in.
60% fuel fill on these cars as well, so we are expecting one pit stop per race here. And as we are working lap 64, caution free here, iRacing, these races are going to go by incredibly quick, and we are seeing that here tonight already. Working lap 65, Jake Drew in that number 6 has been in full control. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. You're watching the Super Late Model AI series right here on ESBN. Don't go anywhere. Drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight is going to be a very closely competitive race.
As the field works its way out of the 3-4 complex, the only thing that's left to say is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, it's showtime!
Amazing looking cars already. Green flag will fly.
Well, oh, they're wrecking! Well, one thing that you're going to see at this track that we haven't seen the last few weeks is a surface that's multi-group. I think this is the first multi-group surface we're going to have.
After an amazing race at Daytona, we now come to the left coast and Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the second round of the Way She Goes Racing League Cup Series.
Back here at the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the first ever AI race broadcasted on ESBN and by Sim Racing Media. Jake Drew currently has extended his lead back out to about 1.8 seconds, but that is because Cole Moore has been caught in the same traffic that Jake Drew has been trying to get through, has opened that gap back up again. Absolutely.
As Drew finally was able to get clear, Moore is getting frustrated right now, and you can tell because he's actually laid the chrome horn to a couple of people in the last couple of laps. There are a couple of computers in those last couple of laps. I don't know how we used to say that, but
there's still terminology that we're going to have to get used to here with full AI racing. Is that's John Moore in the 27. He's running in 25th. He would be the next car to get lapped down by Cole Moore in the 99. Mark Wirtz starting to make his way back up through the field. Started in the 8th position. He's fallen down to 14th currently as Josh Berry has been stuck up on that outside line now. And you have the two teammates of the 16 and the 19. Gio Scelzi and Derek Kraus are now line astern. Scelzi has had a lot more successful race than Kraus. Scelzi started in 26th. He's up to 15th. Kraus started 14th. He's down to 16th.
Which is very uncommon for Kraus in the real world, because normally, green flag comes out and Kraus just climbs. So not having his own way here at the Bullring tonight, but Scelzi on a tear.
Absolutely is, and they're coming up to this group here as Mark Wirtz at the last moment sticks it in on Colby Howard. That would be for the 13th position, as Howard now going to get stuck up on that outside. He's able to clear Scelzi, though, going down onto the front straightaway, but Scelzi makes the big dive stick going into turn 1. He'll take that position up to 14th now for the 16.
Scelzi continues to climb as now Kraus has to deal with the 81, as looks like we got the first one to flinch. That's Austin Herzog going down pit road, possibly
this would be
scheduled fuel stop.
Yep, this would be the this would be the fuel stop here. Sean Woodside also in pit road as well. There is Woodside in the 45. There's the 50 of Trevor Huddleston there. Derek Griffith, Andy Allen, Sammy Smith, Colby Howard now brings it down pit side. Tony Breedinger in the 25. Blaine Roca in the 98. There you see him stopped.
So the question is, who's going to take tires and who's going to take fuel only?
Yep, that is a good point as well, as Jake Drew comes down pit road. The race leader surrenders that to Cole Moore. This should be the one and only fuel stop of the race. Just 60% fuel fill on these cars in order to try to break them up a little bit. Pit road ability for each of these AI teams is also not at peak, so there are guys that are going to have slower stops than others. As Corey Heim and Travis Quapple were racing at the back of the field now, they are up inside the top 10 thanks to the pit cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that we've seen two wide racing as long tonight as we have, um, this is what we got into broadcasting for. Tight, side by side, hard nosed racing that's done cleanly. And I don't think there's a car out here right now that has a mark on it.
There is damage in this AI series. So that is something that these guys are going to have to worry about. Damage is a thing. No fast repairs for these AIs. Mark Wirtz in pit road. Gio Selzy down. John Moore, Dominic Lopez in the 24. They are in pit road as well. Cole Moore yet to make his stop. Wayne Stokes in a big little battle there. That's with Blaine Roca, who we know has come down pit road. Now here comes the 92 of Stokes.
And just jams on the binders to get it woed down in time to get to that pit road speed limit. And I'll tell you right now, it feels like you can get out of the car and walk faster than the car is going down pit road.
Is it 30 miles an hour down pit road is the pit road speed limit? This is Corey Heim running in 6th place right now. Cole Moore has come down pit road, and now here comes Heim. And you saw how much that both Heim and Maynard had to check up there, as I believe that was the 24 of Dominic Lopez that was coming out of pit road.
Yes, it was.
Carson Quapple now takes it down pit road. That was the 27 of John Moore having a time of it trying to get back up. Jake Drew, here he is. He was the race leader going into this cycle of pit stops. He will now effectively retake the race lead. There is Austin Herzog, who would be effective 2nd place for the moment. But no, instead it's going to be Cole Moore coming back out in the 2nd position. Walt Clow has lost a couple of spots in the pit cycle. Watch this re-entry by Maynard. Wide. It got really close there between Maynard, Wirtz, and Clow. Clow now about to lose another spot. That's Sean Woodside to the inside of him. 51-year-old from Santa Clarita, California.
Frank, do you realize how frustrating it's going to be moving forward whenever we're in a live driver situation? and what's wrong with you guys? We've seen them go 3 wide before. Oh, wait, no, those were computers.
We've created an issue for ourselves. It's Corey Heim stuck behind Parker Traves, who has not had a good run of luck here today.
And they're 3 wide again.
Yes, they are. That's Walt Clow on the inside. Corey Heim, a little bit of door-to-door contact between the 20 and the 46.
Good grief.
And Clow is the only driver in that group that was for position.
Oh, man.
Now it's Tanner Reef. Sean Woodside, Clow, and Reef are the 3 that are for position here in this group. The 24 is not.
Oh, boy. As there's Stokes back out on track with some fresh shoes.
Stokes running in the 4th position right now. Just got passed up by Austin Maynard, not for position. As the front of this field has gapped themselves out pretty good. Jake Drew is 3.1 seconds ahead of Cole Moore. Now, Moore did come in about 8 laps later than Jake Drew. And with about lap 143, 42 being the halfway point of this race. Did I say 142? I'm sorry. That was not.
Yeah, I was going to say,
that's my math there.
We're well past the halfway mark.
Yeah, no, I know that. That was the point I was trying to make. 87 and a half. That was the halfway point, right about when we came back for break. So Jake Drew should be able to go the rest of the way on fuel, period, by about a half a lap.
All these guys should.
Well, Austin Herzog, Sean Woodside, Trevor Huddleston, Derek Griffiths, Sammy Smith, Andy Allen, there he is in the 22. Those guys all came into pit on lap 86, so about a lap and a half short. Now, if they came in early, then they should be fine, which I would have to assume. So we're still getting real life driver strategy with this nonsense.
And you can see just how much rubber is being laid down in the corners of this piece as the sun continues to set. The corners have just gotten so much darker as this race is worn on.
There's a chance. Now, this race, for those of you who haven't kept a timer on this race, the race session has actually only been going for about 28 and a half minutes. So as you can see here by the weather conditions, it's only 7:30. We rolled off the grid at 7:05. So about a half hour worth of green flag racing here. We're almost done with this piece. So we just might still get some nighttime racing in here at Vegas as Gio Scelzi now starting to run away from Colby Howard, who has just gotten lapped by the leader, Jake Drew. Howard running in the 14th position, Scelzi in 13th, looking to be the next one on the list to go a lap down.
Well, the lights have come on. It's not dark enough to be able to notice it yet.
Let's take a look, and there you see the lights on the big track behind this.
You can see them on the short track too.
Yep,
The lights are on.
Yep, you can tell. You can see there are very, very little pockets of this place that does not have a race car on them currently. Scelzi's still very much keeping ahead of that 6 of Jake Drew.
Doing what he can to try to stay on the lead lap here. And I got to think he's getting held up just ever so slightly by that 22.
It's Derek Kraus.
I'm sorry,
you're all right. I switched the camera on you. Derek Kraus gets a big wiggle coming out of turn 4. He'll get passed up by Carson Quapple. Now that is for position. Quapple, we saw him battling around 25th. He's up to 16th now with that pass. And here's the man who currently occupies the second position, the 99 of Cole Moore on the inside of Kraus, putting him a lap down. Moore has made progress up through the field. The last gap update we did, Drew was a good 3.1 seconds ahead of Cole Moore. That gap now has gone down considerably. It's down to a second and a half as Jake Drew really having to battle with the 81 of Colby Howard.
Yeah, these guys are just picking them up and laying them down right now and trying to make something happen. As we're getting into 50 laps to go. I mean, it's go time.
And I said that out of shock. That's just...
Yeah, oh yeah.
We're usually doing races for a half hour. We're sitting on lap 40. We're on lap 126 right now.
Frank, check your PMs.
Yep. As Tanner Reef now starting to work on Walt Clow. Corey Heim and Parker Traves still there as well. That's a big wiggle there by Tanner Reef.
Not what he needed.
No, absolutely not. Now, we had mentioned that Cole Moore had been catching Jake Drew, but while he was catching Drew, he has been caught by Austin Herzog. And Herzog now has taken over that second position. The highest Herzog has been all night, plus 13. He started back in the 15th spot.
Herzog is a hot shoe in the super late models. Has won the snowball in the past, so not one to let any moss grow under his feet.
And did you honestly think we were going to run a super late model series without running at Five Flags? That is the season finale. 200 laps at the Five Flags Speedway come the end of this 16-week gauntlet that these guys, that these AI are going to, that we're putting these AI through. There's Jake Drew getting around Gio Selzy. Colby Howard there as well. Howard has been able to get around Selzy and keep himself on the lead lap in the process. But something's telling me it's not going to stay that way for much longer.
Well, here comes Selzy back to try to get back on the lead lap.
We're seeing that wiggle out of 4. It's a lot more predominant than what we've seen. Josh Berry, Dominic Lopez have been in pit road. Cole Moore back down pit lane. And that's surprising because Moore was one of those guys that came in at the absolute latest. So maybe these guys didn't put as much fuel in as they needed for the end, as here's Jake Drew's teammate, Tanner Reef, still trying to work on Walt Clow.
Doing what he can, but Clow not giving it up easy. I cannot get over how hard these guys have been running since the drop of the green, and the fact that we have yet to see a caution.
Absolutely. It's the positive about AI racing. We don't see a lot of cautions, but
I think during testing we saw it at one time at one track.
Probably, yep.
It was a situation where it kind of couldn't be avoided.
Clow as Corey Heim comes down pit road. We're looking back at Tanner Reef. This is the battle for 4th between Clow and Reef. And you can see, boy, Reef really sticks it in there. And Reef is actually going to come down pit road.
Interesting. Because they made it to about halfway on the initial fuel run. I'm thinking it was a miscalculation. 16 comes pit side as well. I don't think some of these computers computed their fuel mileage right.
And while we were watching that, we have a new leader. And it is not because Jake Drew got passed by going down pit road. Jake Drew straight up got passed by Austin Herzog. We were talking about guys getting stuck in lap traffic and the rest of the field coming in. There is the pass for the lead. Austin Herzog, for the first time today, in the race lead, as Jake Drew, who has dominated this race, currently now sits in second.
And now what's good for the goose is good for the gander, is here he comes back on the inside. Nose out front going into 1, and the 11 3 wide.
Herzog 3 wide on the outside, and this is the scenario that we saw in practice, in testing for this, that would happen. It was typically 3 wide. The outside car would get squeezed into the wall on corner exit. Not the case here. This racetrack a little bit wider than some of the other ones that we'll go to over the course of this season, is just constant side by side at a literal bullring.
The one I'm kind of looking forward to is a track that I don't think has gotten any love, even since it was made a free track in the iRacing servers, and that's Concord. Yep. The tiny triangle, I'm looking forward to that race.
Yep, and we'll go over the schedule as this after this race winds down here. We got 30 laps to go. Jake Drew now has reopened that lead up as Austin Herzog got caught on the outside. What was a 0.6 of a second deficit has now grown into a 2-second advantage as the 11 of Herzog has completely fallen off. He's about to fall into the clutches of Sean Woodside right now in the 45.
And Woodside's about to give it up to the 60 as, he's on the outside, not where you want to be. And we've noticed this is one of the first times we've seen that second lane not pay dividends at a track recently.
Absolutely is. Look a little bit. This is just outside the top 10. That is Carson Quapple battling with the 17 of Eddie MacDonald. Mark Wirtz right there as well. That 35 of Quapple has really had a tough night. Again, he was towards the back earlier on. Through pit strategy, has found his way back up into the top 12. Started 24th, currently 12th. Now, just an update on some of those guys that have come into pit road twice. It's pretty much everyone from 17th on down that you're seeing on the ticker at the top of your screen. There is, in a mess and a half, there is Cole Moore, who came into pit from second. Selzy is there as well. So is Kraus. Oh, Selzy, watch that outside, son. Wayne Stokes there as well in the 92. Now the 99 of Moore really has to watch that 92. I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference, but that is a position between those two, the 99 and 92.
And Stokes going to get the position coming off of 4. And that's Selzy hung out on the high side now.
Yes, it is. Tenerife. We also saw him come down pit road. He's getting into the mix here, and this is, boy, that's a sight to see. On board of Tenerife. Thinking that other camera was better. We'll go back to that.
I mean, if you're a spotter right now up on the top of the spotter stand, you've got to be losing your mind trying to figure out how to get your driver through this melee.
It's just outside forever. Just, you're never clear, just outside. My goodness. We're just racing at the start. We are side by side about 6 rows deep at a 3/8 of a mile track.
And it looks like Bradinger might be holding up those guys behind her.
I would agree. Now Bradinger is on the lead lap. She's running in 6th. None of the people behind her are 4 position. None of the people immediately behind her are 4 position. The 98 of Blaine Roca is.
Yeah, but he's got about 4 cars in between her and Bradinger. Oh, good grief.
And Roca has a position right behind him. The 12 of Derek Griffith is 4 position for him. So only 3 cars in this mass of 9 are actually 4 position, as Austin Herzog is starting to play the waiting game, and that waiting game is going to have to end here in a moment because Jake Drew has just taken 12 laps to go. Herzog has brought the lead back down. We saw it go up over 2 seconds. It's now down to just over 1 as Drew is having a heck of a time getting around Jeremy Dawson, the 75.
And this is what we saw, earlier in the race. Doss was, pitchforks and axe handles trying to stay on the lead lap, and he's doing that again, not wanting to go a lap down. But that is allowing the 91 and the 11 to reel back in the 6.
Unfortunately for Herzog, though, the 75 and the 6 both have free racetrack ahead of them. This massive group has sort of shriveled down a little bit as Blaine Roca now has found himself onto the back of Tony Bradinger.
And that is not what she wanted to see.
Absolutely not.
Because Roca's been quick all night. He hasn't had clean track, but if he gets into clean track, if he gets in front of her, he's gonna set sail.
There's not much time left to do it. Just 7 laps to go here at the Bullring at Las Vegas. Jake Drew now starting to fall back as here comes Ty Majeski. That's not for position. Majeski running in 13th, a lap down. but he is bringing Austin Herzog with him, and if a move is going to be made, it's going to have to be made very soon.
Absolutely, as they still run stem to stern. Everybody's still minding their P's and Q's as we are 5 to go. It'll be 4 at the stripe. Drew continues to show the way as he has led the vast majority of laps here tonight. Doing what he can to try to get by the 75, and the 75 has shown to be one tough contender when it comes to trying to stay on the lead lap.
Tony Breedinger has started to run away a little bit from Blaine Roca with just a couple laps to go, though Austin Herzog really needs to push this issue here to try to get around that 91 of Majeski, as we've got, about a mile left to go here as Jake Drew down the back.
Popsicle sticks in the air. Drew going to bring it into turn number 4. He can see the white flag in the flagger's hands. We are racing back to checkers.
That was a big wiggle, too, out of Jake Drew. Doesn't have to pass that 75 now. Austin Herzog still has not gotten around Ty Majeski, and the first ever AI race on SRM and ESBN will go to Jake Drew, who wins here at the Bullring at Las Vegas.
And Frank, for the first time, in a long time, you and I are excited to call a race, it's different. And just showing what the iRacing AI is capable of. This was amazing to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. It was just the fact that this was different from what we usually do. Just made the anticipation for this race so much bigger as we see the conga line getting ready to go down pit road here. And that's another thing you won't see in this series. You won't see celebrations because their AIs were not doing post-race interviews either. So the wrap-up in these races do come out to be pretty abrupt at the end. As we'll take a look at some of the other guys that are coming back around. Trevor Huddleston regroups to a 5th place finish after falling down as far as 10th. Derek Kraus there, Tony Breedinger maintaining that 6th position. Blaine Roca there as well. Tony, I think the word of tonight has been unique. Just something completely different from what we're used to doing. We have never broadcasted an AI race on this network. We have never broadcasted a race at the Bullring at Las Vegas on this network. I can't remember doing a super late model race on this network. This was a completely different experience, and my oh my, did the AI put on a show.
We've done one super late model race, and that was on a Sunday night with the Major Series at Five Flags. We did their Snowball Derby.
That's
that
right.
was actually
yes.
right after you left the first time to take your hiatus.
That was the very first race after I left, yes.
But, just what we were able to see here tonight really puts the programmers at iRacing in the spotlight, to know that they could program the AI to have different strategies like we would see if it were living, breathing drivers making the calls to go pit side, to get fuel, to get tires, to do service on the car, whatever you needed. The fact that we saw those different pit strategies, we saw the different aggression levels. All the aggression was ramped up, but it was still within a safe. There's still a safety buffer there of I'm not going to put my car in a bad situation to make my team have to reskin it before the next race. Yeah, and that was refreshing to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the only race out west that we're going to see. Again, we wanted so desperately to put Irwindale on this calendar, but unfortunately, it is not compatible with the iRacing AI just yet. But we had mentioned the first month of this schedule, USA International coming up next week, Lanier, Myrtle Beach, the first month of this season, the first 4 races. Then after that, we go to Wilkesboro, South Boston Speedway, another one I can't remember doing a broadcast at, Langley Speedway, Lucas Oil Raceway Park, Indianapolis Raceway Park for some of you. Thompson Speedway is one I cannot remember even
I'm
attempting a
looking forward to
broadcast
that
at.
one.
That one's going to be a fun one. Then the 10th race of the season, as Tony had mentioned earlier, we're going to Concord. Charlotte Motor Speedway is going to be our big Daytona 500-ish event that will be right after Concord. Then after that, it'll be Bristol Motor Speedway. The Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway will be after that. And the final 3 races of the season will be Southern National Motorsports Park, Hickory Motor Speedway, which is a track that's relatively new to the iRacing service. It's only been out for, I believe it came out last season for the season for the 2022 season 1 update, and then rounding out the season with 200 laps at Five Flags. A lot of racetracks that we have never broadcasted on and probably haven't even raced on here on the iRacing service that we're going to be showcasing here with this series, which was exactly the point of why we did this AI series.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you take a look at that list of tracks and you look at the histories of a lot of the facilities that we're going to be visiting, there is just so much. Like you take a look at the winners list at some of those tracks, especially Hickory, South Boston. It's a who's who of Cup drivers. From the time those tracks opened up till now, it's a who's who of your top 3 touring divisions of NASCAR. If you have done well at those 2 tracks, chances are you've done very well for yourself in the real world of NASCAR. So I'm excited to see what type of action we're going to see at those facilities. And like you mentioned, there's a lot of tracks that we have not, had the privilege of broadcasting from. Now I've driven most of the tracks that we're going to, only because I used to be in a couple series that they did weird things, and it's going to be fun to go back to those tracks.
Yeah, absolutely. And to do some of the races on these tracks are going to be absolutely incredible. And again, notable omissions to on these on this schedule. Again, Irwindale, Stafford, Oxford Speedway is another one that is in.
Martinsville.
Yep, Martinsville is not on this list. Iowa, we know, is not on the list, is not on the schedule as well. If in the case of Martinsville and Iowa, those tracks are AI compatible, we just did not put them on the schedule. The other tracks, such as Oxford and Stafford, are not AI compatible, so we didn't have an option on those either way. But we'll take a look now. We'll stop rambling now, and we'll take a look at the results here for tonight's race. Jake Drew comes away with the very first win in the history of the AI series here on ESBN. Austin Herzog, Sean Woodside, Walt Clow, and Trevor Huddleston will make up the top 5 positions. Tony Breedinger, Blaine Roca, Derek Griffith, Colby Howard, and Eddie McDonald round out the top 10. Carson Quapple and Sammy Smith round out the drivers that finish on the lead lap. Ty Majeski, Andy Allen, Jeremy Doss finishing 1 lap down and rounding out the top 15, Tony.
Tanner Reef, Cole Moore, Mark Wirtz, your top 18, both 2 and 3 laps down apiece. Gio Selzy, Derek Kraus, rounding out your top 20. Josh Berry in 21st, Austin Maynard, Corey Heim, Dominic Lopez, and John Moore running at your top 25. Our buddy Wayne Stokes not having the night he was hoping for, coming home in 26th, 27th going to Parker Travis, the last car to actually take the green after having issues only a couple laps into the A feature.
It seems a little rude that both of the Canadians are at the bottom of the order. That does feel a little rude.
Yeah, well, I mean, you figure they're used to racing in the colder climate, and they're not used to the heat and elevation here in Vegas.
Well, we'll call it that then. So for my broadcast partner Tony Trapasso, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for joining us on this debut of this brand new ride here for ESBN and Sim Racing Media. We will see you guys next week as we head to Lakeland, Florida, and the USA International Speedway. Good night, everybody.